When you picture wealth, what comes to mind? For a lot of us, it's probably luck, maybe a big inheritance. But what if the biggest factor wasn't in a bank account, but actually inside our own heads? A whole body of research is pointing to something fascinating, that what really sets apart the wealthy isn't just their money, but a specific cognitive architecture, a kind of psychological framework for how they see the world. Take a look at this quote. It comes from some really deep research on America's millionaires, and it just completely shatters the stereotype, doesn't it? We're not talking about Wall Street tycoons here. We're talking about welding contractors, rice farmers, and pest controllers. And right there, that's our first clue that our popular ideas about who gets rich might be, well, completely wrong. Okay, but what about inheritance, right? The born rich idea? Well, the data is just crystal clear on this one. A staggering 89% of America's wealthiest self-made billionaires got little to no family money to get their start. It just confirms this powerful theme we're seeing. For the vast majority, wealth is built, not born into. And it's not just a hunch. Scientific analysis actually backs this up. This chart here breaks down all the different factors that can predict if someone will accumulate wealth. You can see things like innovation and education are really strong predictors. But look at the one with the weakest influence. Yep, inheritance. So if it's not about being born into money, then what is it? What's the secret sauce? Well, the answer isn't in a vault, it's in the brain. It really boils down to a set of cognitive blueprints that completely shape how we approach money, risk, and opportunity. All right, let's dive into the first and maybe the most foundational blueprint. This one is all about agency versus fate, and it all comes down to a really powerful psychological concept. That concept is called locus of control. Now, it sounds a little academic, I know, but stick with me, it's actually pretty simple. Think of it as a scale that measures your core belief about who or what is really in the driver's seat of your life. So this locus of control idea basically splits into two camps. On one side, you have an external locus. That's the belief that your life is run by outside forces, luck, fate, other people. The motto is, things happen to me. On the other side is an internal locus. That's the core belief that you are the primary driver of your own life. The motto here, I make things happen. And the research shows this incredibly strong link between having an internal locus and making positive financial choices. And look, this isn't some high-level abstract theory. This plays out every single day. Just think about a typical Tuesday morning. The person with an external locus gets stuck in traffic and blames the universe, right? The person with an internal locus, they figured traffic might be bad and just left 15 minutes earlier. It's a small thing, but it's the huge difference between just reacting to the world and actually shaping your own day. Okay, let's move on to our second blueprint. This one is all about our relationship with time and reward. This is where the psychology of patience really comes into play. Behavioral economists have a pretty fancy term for our tendency to want things right now, hyperbolic discounting. But really, all it means is that our brains are hardwired to want rewards that are close, even if they're smaller. It's kind of like a leftover from our caveman days, where immediate survival was way more important than long-term planning. Let me ask you a question, and really think about it. Would you prefer to have $50 right now, this second, or $100 in 6 months? The truth is, a ton of people will take the $50 now. That immediate reward just feels more real, more valuable. But now, watch what happens when we just push that timeline out a bit. What if the choice was $50 in 5 years or $100 in 5 years and 6 months? All of a sudden, almost everybody chooses the $100. It's the exact same deal, a 6-month wait for double the money, but because both options are way off in the future, our patient, logical brain finally gets to take over. This preference reversal, as they call it, that right there perfectly illustrates this psychological tug of war between a savings mindset and a consumer mindset. Being able to fight that powerful pull of now for a much better later is an absolute cornerstone of building wealth. All right, our final blueprint really gets to the core of how we see our own potential. It asks a really simple but profound question. Are your talents and abilities something you're just born with, or are they something you can actually develop? This all comes from the incredible work of psychologist Carol Dweck. She identified 2 core mindsets. A fixed mindset is the belief that your intelligence, your talents, they're just static. You've got what you've got, and that's the end of it. A growth mindset, on the other hand, is the belief that you can develop your abilities through effort, dedication, and hard work. And really, where these two mindsets just completely diverge is how they see failure. For someone with a fixed mindset, failing at something is like a final verdict on their abilities, so naturally they start to avoid challenges. But for growth mindset, failure is just data. It's an opportunity to learn, to get better. It makes embracing challenges the only logical way to grow. I absolutely love this quote from author T. Harv Eker because it just perfectly captures the whole idea of a growth mindset. Every master was once a disaster. Nobody starts out as a genius. Skill, success, wealth, these things are developed. They are the result of learning, practicing, and pushing through all the messy parts. So, we've looked at these three big psychological blueprints. But here's the most important part. None of this is set in stone. These aren't traits you're born with. They are learned programs. And, anything that's learned can be reprogrammed, which brings us to how you can start to audit and even rewrite your own financial blueprint. Think of it like your own personal financial blueprint. It's this whole collection of beliefs and attitudes about money that got programmed into you when you were young, by your family, your community, the whole culture around you. A lot of your financial behavior today is simply a subconscious reaction running on this old programming. So how do you actually change the programming? You can start with something super practical called a belief audit. It's just 3 steps. First is awareness. Just write down all the things you heard about money when you were a kid. Money is the root of all evil. Rich people are greedy. You name it. Second is understanding. Try to connect those old statements to your financial life today. How have they affected you? And the third and most powerful step is disassociation. Recognize that these are just old recordings playing in your head. They aren't actually you. And you have the power right now to choose new beliefs that will serve you better. This whole process of auditing your beliefs and consciously choosing new ones, that's the real work. That's what underpins any real, lasting financial change. It all starts by looking inward and asking yourself one simple, powerful question. What's written on your blueprint?